Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. It's a beautiful summer's June evening here in London, and I'm going to sit back, relax, and enjoy this fascinating black tea which has just arrived. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. You know, in your tea journey, you probably shift from tea type to tea type. Maybe your first love is oolong teas, and then you find the beautiful freshness and vibrancy of greens, and eventually make your way to raw pu'ers. I find that black tea tends to be the more commonly neglected tea amongst tea heads diving into the wonderful world of true tea, simply because it is a more common tea type. Maybe you see it more in the world, maybe you've been brought up with black tea. And I am including myself in that. You know, I've obviously always loved black tea, but it's probably sort of lower on my list. While I drink it very often, it's sort of lower on my list in terms of that excitement factor compared with like gushu, raw pu'ers, or some amazing HR, etc. But recently, I have really rekindled my love affair with black teas. And I don't know if it's because I've just been lucky, or we've developed better ties with producers who are producing different types of black tea, or maybe just the trend is to experiment a little bit more with black teas. But I've recently realized that whilst you've got your bedrock of black teas, you know, your Dianhongs and all of these classic black teas that are great and we love them dearly, that recently arriving on my doorstep have been black teas that are just different, crafted in a different way. We had bizarrely aged Dianhong Bad, we had Ancient Haze, and this is right up there. It is a very, very interesting tea. Let's quickly scope this tea. This is season September 2020, so this is an autumn tea. Chime Gatherer, a couple of weeks ago we released another autumn raw pu'er. Something about autumn teas, especially from Yunnan province, which is where this is from, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit, there's something amazing about the character and aroma of those teas. Cultivar, this is from a Taiwanese cultivar, the soft stem cultivar. This is, I believe it's TTES 17. Renje is the name. Apologies if I'm massacring that pronunciation. Renje is a Taiwanese developed cultivar, usually reserved for oolong and being grown in Yunnan province. So this is from Pu'er region in Yunnan in China. So we're getting this interesting mix here. You've got a cultivar created in Taiwan that is now being grown and cultivated in the incredible, fertile and ancient soils of Yunnan province to produce a black tea. So this mix, Taiwan to China and oolong to black tea. Elevations around 1,800 meters. So high altitude black tea made with an oolong cultivar developed in Taiwan. A little bit mad. And when I first sort of found out about this tea, when I first tasted this tea, I thought, wow, what is this tea? This is amazing. Obviously we taste blind. And then I found out more. And it is such a beautiful interplay between two cultures and two tea types from my recollection of the sample. We've got our Gaiwan here, 100 ml Gaiwan. This is a Gaiwan which we haven't released yet. Maybe if you're lucky, you go check. I'll release it with this video. This is our true tea Gaiwan. Right, let's get stuck in. Renje cultivar, I believe it's number 17, often confused with Qingxin cultivar, similar but not the same. I think it was a little bit over the top with my estimation. Okay, let's smell that dry leaf. Spices on the nose. So we can talk about some of the, let's say, more Taiwanese flavor notes that we can anchor to. So this has a smell which is very reminiscent of some Oriental beauty or Eastern beauties out there, Dongfang Meiren. Very rich in fruit. I'm getting muscatels. I'm getting grape juice, green grape juice. But it's a little bit more wild, a little bit more sour, and I think this is the theme that you're going to note going through this transplantation from the soils of Taiwan to the soils and the terroir, including the culture of growing and producing of Yunnan province. Gooseberries, And then a ton of saffron, so much saffron, which you would never, well, I cannot recall that being a flavor note for Taiwanese teas. Lots and lots of saffron. So saffron heavy, yeah, gooseberries and green grape juice, a little bit of muscatel, but definitely more on the sort of wild and spiky notes, whilst being a little bit spicy. The color of the leaves is a dark chestnut, raisin brown, and larger leaves as well, a little bit larger, so there are some more auburn larger leaves. Okay, let's have a sniff of these wet leaves. Oh, it's deep, it's rich, it's got those autumn aromatics in your face. I'm getting black cherry, cooked black cherry jam. I'm getting, oh, menthol or eucalyptus. Again, that reminds me of the Taiwanese black teas. A little bit more of that wintergreen, eucalyptus, a little bit more liniment in there. You think about ruby black. This is not the same as ruby black. It's a different variety, but has that sort of slightly medicinal note coming on the nose. I would say it's much more in the eucalyptus. Oh, wow, the aroma. Very fruity. Cherry, black cherry jam. Instead of muscatel, I want to move deeper. I'm going to talk about port, you know, those deep, sweet port wines. Eucalyptus. Spicy and fruity. Spice and fruit. That's going to be probably the key to this name. It's taking lots of really ripe summer fruits and then cooking them down with sort of, yeah, eucalyptus and saffrons and maybe a bit of black pepper. A really, really interesting mix. And that spice and that wildness, I think, is, my guess is that is really Yunnan province. Those ancient lands of tea and the culture of producing tea, because let's not forget that culture is part of terroir. Take a look at those leaves glowing, have a luminous russet, burgundies, oranges and very bright. All right, we're brewing it practically boiling. This is a controlled kettle, thermally insulated. We're going to brew for about 25 seconds and get a nice extraction out of it. And we're going to see how this compares with the taste that we're used to from Taiwan. And if you missed my last video, which was a Foundations of Tea video, where I was speaking to Halter about cultivars and heirloom varieties. And I said in that video that there is a tendency that varieties which are natural to a certain area tend to produce better teas than cultivars that are transplanted and moved to other areas. But that is a very broad generalization. And I would suggest that this is a tea that breaks that rule. Not to say that the Rencha being produced in Taiwan is not good. I've never purchased one. There's a lot being produced in northern Thailand. Again, never purchased it from there. I always found that it lacked that finish and that richness and that character and that je ne sais quoi that we're always looking for in teas. You can have teas that have great aroma and have good taste, but there's something that is very hard to put your finger on that it just takes it over the edge into pinnacle tea. And I've never found that with Rencha varieties from Taiwan, but clearly, oh, look at that color, very burnt orange color. Clearly, I felt that this sample, I remember tasting this sample and Cindy and I having a bit of a freak out moment. Let's see if we can, let's see if it matches my expectations. Cheers, everybody. It's just fizzing with different aromatics. Texture, medium and soft. We'll talk about the finish later, but medium and soft in the mouth. The taste very much reminds me of some of those Oriental beauties. Dongfang Mei Ren, it's got a lot of fruit. And that very sort of botrytized grapes, muscatel, dessert wine grape quality. It's got those honey notes, those hot trianol notes that we look for in a good Dongfang Mei Ren. It's got that bug-bitten taste, in essence. So if you like Honey Duchess or you like Dongfang Mei Ren Oriental Beauty, then this black tea is going to be right up your alley. Very, very fruit heavy, very, very insect-bitten taste. But then Yunnan steps in, and there is a foresty nature to this tea that you don't get from, well, I have not found from Renji from Taiwan, which is a lot more of a cultivated land. And the foresty nature of this tea is what really sort of sets it apart. So I'm still getting saffrons and spices, and I'm getting like cedar woods, slight like pine woods, cedar woods. I'm getting that wintergreen. I'm getting cinnamon. I'm getting that fruit is I would say less in your nose and more in the taste, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So flavor is a combination of aroma and taste, and this fruit flavor, this muscatel flavor, is more of a taste than an aroma compared with those very bright aromatics of Taiwanese Dongfang Mei Ren and Guifei. Oh. And the finish is tingly. It's everything I love in a finish, everything I look for in a finish for a black tea. It dances, it moves, it's dry to tingly to a sweet, fruity. It reminds me of like herbal, maybe more fruity candies, boiled sweets. It reminds me of a peach candy, like a boiled sweets, like boiled hard peach candies that you would suck on for if you're suffering from like I don't know, travel sickness. That have quite an artificial flavor. It's sort of got an artificial peach, this very, very sort of impactful peach flavor that's on the nose. Sorry, I'm just looking, I've got a stain on my finger. Yeah, it's got that as a long, lingering finish to it in the mouth and through the nose. Taste again. So that wintergreen, cedarwood, eucalyptus wood, that's in the front, and then you get this fruity muscatel, honeyed, and like cooked down or roasted peaches in the finish. A delicious, delicious tea. Let me roll through some infusions and we'll see what the body sensation is like. Fifth infusion here. This will probably go like 6, 7 infusions, maybe more. But I would say that that would be a good conservative estimation. Look at those leaves. Really, really lovely. Very, very bright. Something that you would not normally see. I mean, you can see this is a Taiwanese cultivar. The texture of it is thick. The surface is slightly matte looking, and you've got these sort of burgundy red stems and this sort of burnt umber leaves, slightly larger leaves as well here amongst, but very, very good, fine picking. Really, really lovely picking, but clearly is not Yunnan variety by the looks. Okay. Let's taste this infusion. Still just as vibrant, so maybe you can get some more infusions out of it than 6 or 7. And it continues very, very stable, very, very consistent in terms of taste. those spices, a bit of saffron, a bit of eucalyptus, a bit of wintergreen, and then a bag full of fruit coming your way with a juicy, tingly finish. Body sensation on this is mildly heating, relaxing, a great tea for this time of night, you know, as the sort of happy hour is approaching, the sun is starting to set, you're just winding down. It has a cooling sensation in the mouth as well, so it's got that nice, comfortable feeling. All of the things that I look for, you've probably heard me talk about them a million times. Character, finish, a sensation, some sort of body sensation that is comfortable and makes you feel at peace with the world again. Okay, let's have a sniff of this empty Gong Da Bei to complete our 10-step tasting. I would prefer it in porcelain for a bit of a cleaner smell, but it's interesting. It's not what I expected. It's got more acidity in it. Yes, it has those honeyed notes and the caramelized notes, but it's also got a quite sharp citrus note to it. Citrus, no, it reminds me of, I know what it reminds me of. It's like a vitamin C acerola. No, it's rhubarb. You know, if you take a fresh rhubarb and you just snap it, that smell of rhubarb, but then it's got that caramel, sort of slightly burnt sugar note happening. So, you know, the image in my head is dipping some raw rhubarb, or even maybe slightly cooked rhubarb, in some very dark sort of caramel. So caramelized rhubarb would be the best image to describe the smell of that empty Gong Da Bei. So there you go, I've got to think of a name. We're going to release it this weekend, and I'll see if I can get these true tea guy ones up online as well for you. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.